Hello, good evening. A warm welcome to all English teachers and English lovers who are watching us tonight. I am Simara, a professor of language and literature at IFRS, Federal Institute, Campus Canoas Campus, and I am helping with the organization of this event, which is held by Partners of the Americas, Rio Grande do Sul. As you know, tonight's session is about teaching English through literature and culture. And our invited speaker is Luciane de Oliveira Moreira. Welcome, Luciane. Luciane held a postdoctoral position in comparative literature at the Federal University of Santa Maria. She's PhD in English literature by URGS, and she worked as a visiting professor at the Federal Institute between 2020 and 2022. Her expertise include Afro-American literature and also British literature, focusing on Jane Austen. And as our mediator, we'll have our partners representative, Ellen Caroline Melo de Oliveira. Welcome, Ellen.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Ellen works as an ESL teacher in public schools of São Chico. So, if you don't know São Chico, São Francisco de Paula, in Serra Gaúcha, the mountains, Rio Grande do Sul. And she also works online for Conley University in the USA. And she has a wide experience in English teaching and learning processes, as she has worked in the field for over 20 years. So, guys, introductions made, let's start the event. Luciane, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Well, I'm a little bit nervous because it's the first time that I talk about my work as an English teacher. It's so interesting because when Professor Simara invited me to talk about teaching English through literature and culture, I was thinking about my experience, and I said, I've never thought about this. You know, we teach, but you don't consider yourself as a teacher. I don't know, we don't think about this. Yeah. So I started teaching in 1999. So it's a long time ago. So I started as a trainee in an English course. And before that, I never thought to become a teacher. So for me, it wasn't an option. But when I started teaching, I fell in love, I would say. I fell in love with this activity. And since then, I don't know. But I'm every day, I think I'm more involved in this activity and in the idea of becoming a better teacher. And in the beginning, I used to teach using textbooks, because of the place where I used to work or the time. Many reasons for us to use the textbook. It's easier, it's ready-made. You can do just choose the subject and start teaching. But then I realized that for me it was not working. For me, I would like to choose the thematic, the material in a different way. I would like that this to be meaningful for my students. That's why I started using literature. And when I say literature, I would say arts in general, music, short stories, poetry, novels, excerpts, because sometimes it's because of the time that we have in class. Sometimes you have to adapt. So when I started organizing my presentation today, I started to wonder about my practice, as I mentioned in the beginning. And some questions comes to my mind. Why do I use those materials in class? Have you ever considered thinking about your practice, your teaching practice, and understand why you choose what you choose? Why you teach the way you teach? Because sometimes it's so automatic, you do things without thinking about it, and I like to think about it. And I consider, and I asked myself, is my teaching practice effective? Am I being successful as a teacher? Are my students pleased with my choices? How can I change and improve my English classes? So many questions come to my mind when I was preparing this presentation today. So thank you for this. It's always nice to think about this. Some time ago, I was preparing a class, and I came across a TED Talk by Roberto Guzman, named Teaching English Without Teaching. While I was watching that video, I realized that I was doing something similar instinctively. When you choose a material, an authentic material, and present this to the student without just thinking about grammar or things like this. We want the student to be in contact with this material, to understand how real language works, to start question things, think in English, talk in English, because sometimes students know the rules, but they don't know how to apply them. This professor, Roberto Guzman, mentioned in the video that learning English, or in fact teaching English, for him was like when you use this material, when you expose the student with this authentic material without thinking too much about the grammar content, you are giving the student the opportunity of learning how to think by themselves, to be critical, to ask questions, to be curious. Because it's like he used the example when you are explaining someone about the flavor of something. I can spend hours trying to explain you how the flavor of a special ice cream is, but you are going to understand this when you try this ice cream. The same is when you are using the language. You are speaking, you are listening, you are in this atmosphere environment. And textbooks are good, but they are created in a way that is very different from the real life, the content. When you are watching a TV series, it's very different from the content that you have in this material that is created, especially for an English class. So that's why I think I decided to use the real material in my classes. And I think, of course, in the beginning, the students are not so used to it. You have to help them. But then you start realizing that it's worth it and that it works. So I'm going to show you now a PowerPoint to guide my speech. with some examples, okay? And I don't know if I'm speaking too fast because I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to start to slow down, okay? So let's see. First of all, let's think about why use literature to teach English. What are the advantages of using this material in an English class? Yeah, let's think about that. These material are rich. Yeah, is a rich linguistic input. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for multisensorial classroom experience because there are many metaphors, way of using the language that the writers use that helps the students to enter in this atmosphere, offer different learning styles, the understanding of other cultures, because literary work is also about a specific culture. As Professor Simara mentioned in the beginning of presenting myself, and she mentioned that I studied Afro-American literature and English literature. So each has a different culture that you get in touch, you learn a little bit about their reality, and it's really, really rich. It raises awareness of the difference between people, develop tolerance and understanding. I think it's help avoid the stereotypes, help deal with universal themes such as love, war, loss, help with the use of imagination, enhance empathy for the others, develop creativity, and many other reasons for using literature to teach. And of course, when you use an authentic material, you're going to face some challenges, because you're not going to have the class prepared for you. You are going to have to prepare this from the scratch. You're going to start considering what are you going to teach. So you have to search for the material. So it's time consuming, of course. So you have to consider the text selection, the relevance and interest to learners of this text, linguistic difficulties. You have to know your students to know if that text is adequate to their English level. The length, for example, you know that you have a certain time to teach that, so you have to choose a material that fits in that time. You have to consider cultural difficulty. So sometimes texts are so specific, so you have to think that the students need to understand the essential meaning of that text. Or cultural appropriacy, students should not be offended by the text or content. So you are going to have time consuming here. You have to consider all of these things and others in order to prepare the class. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience as a teacher using these materials. For example, when I teach for a group of students, I have to consider the whole. It's more difficult to know each one. You have to think about the group. I'm going to give an example of IFE, RS, that I taught last semester, a group of students who were studying mathematics. They are undergraduate students. So when I start preparing their class, I decided to search for things that have in English that have a relationship to mathematics, because their content, their context, and I come across many examples of poetry using mathematics thematic, and it's really, really rich. Yeah, you have many things, and the text that I used to select it. Sometimes I try to use things that has to do with their environment, with what they were studying at that moment. And I remember when I finished the semester, I didn't know if I had done something good or bad. You never know. We have to listen the students to understand. And I remember that most of them said to me that it was a good experience, that they learned different things, and they would like to continue studying English. So, in a semester, you cannot teach lots of things. It's a short period of time. But if you put in the students, you give this taste to go further, to continue studying more, I think you have done your work. Yeah, it's like you plant a seed of this desire of continue, of going on, and searching for more. And I think for me it was very rewarding, the result of that semester. Now I'm going to talk about my teaching practice with private students, one student at a time, that I'm doing now. And I have a large experience with this, but especially now I'm teaching a boy who is 13 years old. So I'm teaching him for 2 years now. And, first of all, I have to know the student. I asked him for what are his habits, reading habits, what does he like to do, and many questions. And we are getting to know the person. And he is a very smart student. He loves reading. He loves all the, I think, from astronomy, science, literature, mythology. So it's so nice because I can create my classes with a huge range of things. For example, last week we had this hurricane, or this tempest, things that is they are announcing that would happen at the same day that we had class. And I decided to teach him the myth of the wind. I searched for this, and it was a really nice class. And you are teaching the content and the English at the same time. And when I started teaching him, I realized that he was a little bit shy. For him, it was difficult to speak. And nowadays, he is so comfortable speaking and expressing himself, telling stories. So I think when you expose them to these two stories, you give them the opportunity to create their own stories, to be confident and expressing themselves. Because sometimes the students know a lot about grammar, how to write, how to read and listen, but speaking is a different aspect, and most of them don't have this opportunity. And when you give them, it's really worth it. yeah, for us and for them. So let's continue here. Now, as I explain my reasons and give you examples of how I deal with them, now I'm going to give you examples of my English practice with literature. Okay, I choose here a chapter of a book. This book, I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see here. The name of this book is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. It's a very nice book to teach English because here we have the English, yeah, it's an authentic material, and we have two cultures mixed. We have the American culture and the Mexican, because Sandra Cisneros is a Mexican-American writer. And in the text, sometimes we have some words in Spanish too, and she explains some things about her culture. So, and the character lives in the United States and gives his or her position, ideas of that culture. So it's really nice to show the students these perspectives. Yeah. And this is a book made of small chapters. They are 1-2 pages long. So, and you can work with the chapter individually. This one that I selected for us today is almost in the end of the story, and you can work with it alone without understand the whole part of the story. So it's really, really nice. And I'm going to show you the text to you to have an idea how do I use this, okay? So, and I also, I'm not going to show you the video now, but when I finish, I used to have a moment of just for fun watching a video, and I select this scene from Friends, this TV series, né? Joey is speaking French, yeah, just for them having a nice moment, yeah, being in contact with the language and enjoy this scene. Okay, so here we have the text I put here in the PowerPoint. It's 1.5 pages. Okay, so I'm going to read for you just to see the content. Before I start reading with the students, I ask them how was their relation to the English language before they started studying it. So we do a preparation, pre-reading part in which I invite them to think about their experience with the language, and then we start the reading. Okay, so No Speak English is a chapter from this book in which the main character is describing a scene. Okay, and the language that we have in this story is a language of a child, adolescent. So it's also something interesting, the way the text is constructed, okay? So mamacita is the big mama of the man across the street. Third floor, front. Rachel says her name ought to be Mamacita, but I think that's mean. The man saved his money to bring her here. He saved and saved because she was alone with the baby boy in that country. He worked 2 jobs. He came home late and he left early every day. Then one day, Mamacita and the baby boy arrived in a yellow taxi. You know, yellow taxi, the United States, yeah? The place where we have. The taxi door opened like a waiter's arms. So here we are having a metaphor. Yeah? Out stepped a tiny pink shoe, a foot soft as a rabbit's ear. Then the thick ankle, a flutter of hips, fuchsia, roses and green perfume. The man had to pull her, the taxi cab driver had to push. Push, pull, poof. So it's really nice to work with these expressions and enter in the text, yeah, to see the richness of the language, the way they use the words. So yeah, after reading, you can start doing this, okay? So at once she bloomed, huge, enormous, beautiful to look at, from the salmon pink feather on the tip of her hat down to the little rosebuds of her toes. I couldn't take my eyes off her tiny shoes. Up, up, up the stairs she went with the baby boy. In a blue blanket, the man carrying her suitcases, her lavender hat boxes, a dozen boxes of satin high heels. Then we didn't see her. Somebody said because she's too fat. Somebody because of the 3 flights of stairs. But I believe she doesn't come out because she's afraid to speak English. And maybe this is so since she only knows 8 words. She knows to say, he's not here for when the landlord comes, no speak English if anybody else comes, and holy smokes. I don't know where she learned this, but I heard her say it one time and it surprised me. My father says when he came to this country, he ate ham and eggs for 3 months. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Ham and eggs. That was the only word he knew. He doesn't eat ham and eggs anymore. Whatever her reasons, whether she's fat or can't climb the stairs or is afraid of English, she won't come down. She sits all day by the window and plays the Spanish radio show and sings all the homesick songs about her country in a voice that sounds like a seagull. Home, home, home is a house in a photograph, a pink house, pink as hollyhocks with lots of startled light. The man paints the walls of the apartment pink, but it's not the same, you know. She still signs for the pink house, and then I think she cries. I would. So here we are having some ideas of this culture, this different culture, the Mexican one about the colors and things, so you can explore all of these materials. Yeah? Sometimes the man gets disgusted. He starts screaming, and you can hear it all the way down the street. I, she says. She's sad. Oh, he says, not again. Quando, she asks. Ai, carai, we are home. This is home. Here I am and here I stay. Speak English. Speak English, Christ. I, mamacita, who does not belong. Ever once in a while lets out a cry, hysterical, high, as if she had torn the only skin thread that kept her alive, the only road out of that country. And then, to break her heart forever, the baby boy who has begun to talk starts to sing the Pepsi commercial he heard on TV. No, speak English, she says to the child who is singing in the language that sounds like tin. No, speak English, no, speak English, and bubbles into tears. No, 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 as if she can't believe her ears. So here we have this small text with a rich idea of these two countries, of this culture, and also thinking about this language. Why? And many questions can be asked in classroom about this context, about the reaction of this woman. So you can explore this. That's why I love using literature in class, because we have this, you can explore many things. And sometimes you just let the student, when you finish presenting the text, sometimes they ask, they read, sometimes I read, so you can decide, and you just listen to them. First of all, do not ask a question, listen to them, listen to these. This is wonderful, because sometimes they are going to say things that you never thought, never think about. And so it's really, really nice, and it really, really worth it to work with this material. So after this, after you explore the material, you can, in fact, I use a video or a music. Like, I like to combine the reading and the listening to in classes, and they speak. So you can do lots of things. And to finish, to make this story short, today I was watching this TED Talk by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and she is talking about the danger of a single story. And while I was reading, I was thinking about this, the importance of us to read different stories from different perspectives of different cultures, to not create stereotypes. Sometimes you say, oh, Americans are like this and that, but you don't know, you know, a part of it. That's why literature is so important, music, culture. It's important to know what you are talking about. So Chimamanda says that a single story creates stereotypes, not because they are untrue, but because they are incomplete. Stories can be used to empower and humanize people. That's why I love using this authentic material in my classes. Okay, because they bring their culture together. And that's it. Here are my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Luciane. We are going to call Ellen now. Don't know if Ellen is available, as she's going to act as a mediator for this session. So thank you very much. It was very interesting. I'm also a literature lover. I work more with Brazilian literature rather than American and in British literature. But it doesn't matter actually where literature comes from, because we have this sense of belonging. Literature, language, and literature, they can work together. We can teach language through literature. We can teach literature through language. So it's a good exchange. It doesn't matter exactly what language you're going to teach. We can access, and what subject, what field we are going to teach. We can access these different knowledge through a story, through a poem. So it's a very good way of starting something. It doesn't matter the level of our students, for example, English students, because the texts, they can be short, they can be simple, and they can also be meaningful. And I think this meaning that literature comprises is something very precious. But I've said too much. As I said, the one who's going to act as a mediator is Ellen. So Ellen, it's with you now.
Go on. You can keep talking. It's okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
passionate for literature anyway.
Yes. Working with literature, it's amazing. When we teach in especially in bilingual schools, we have the great chance to work with literature all the time. Sometimes, as Luciane said in the beginning, when we are teaching in private courses, or when we are teaching at regular schools, we get too how can I say that, we get too attached to the course book, and this makes I don't know, it sometimes gives a bad impression to the student, like, oh, we're going to open the book up again, and they don't really enjoy it anymore. So when we bring something different, like usually nowadays we bring things online, games, competitions, but bringing them a book, a real one with the smell and stuff, I think it's even newer experience for them, because many kids, many teenagers didn't, in fact, haven't had the opportunity to live, to deal with books. They know books, but they don't really have a connection anymore. Probably they have some they recall from those read along stories on the internet, because it's something that people are not, I don't know, I can see that it's a majority of kids that deal with books. Just a few of them have this connection, and when they do, we get so excited. You're like, you are reading this book. Yeah, I've made many connections with my students through literature, because, for example, I had a first year of high school student. They were completely, disconnected to the English classes. And then one day I saw a Stephen King book on their table. And then we started the conversation about the horror literature. Everything changed. So the classes started to they started to get meaningful, as both of you mentioned previously. So it's amazing, what literature can make. Well, I don't know if we have any questions. I was trying to check the YouTube chat if we have questions to Luciane.
I think people are a bit shy tonight. It will
Yes.
be very interesting. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher or not. If you have any comments, sometimes something in the past we've experienced as a student and it worked or it didn't, that would be interesting to hear from you through the chat. We haven't had any question yet, but I have a question for Luciane, if you don't mind, Ellen.
Go ahead, please.
Luciane, you talked about the book by Roberto Guzman. Do you think we can reach more if we do what he suggests in his book? Because he said the book is English, teaching English without teaching. So it's quite tricky to imagine, oh, I'm a teacher, I have to teach, I have to follow the curricula, I have to reach my goals, but it's much more the way you do than actually what you do. So I don't know, what do you think about what he brings or he brought to you as a teacher?
Well, in fact, it's not a book, it's a talk, a TED talk.
Oh, it was a video, sorry.
Yeah, video. And in fact, what he says in that talk is that he brings to class some material. It can be a text, a music, things like this to students in order to them talk. Because he said that the students buy the text. I think he's a teacher at a private school. I don't know, at a school. So it's for children. He said that they know everything in relation to grammar when they have to write or to do the text. But when they have to speak, it is the challenge, So he decided to do this to challenge them to speak in a way by being in contact of this content. And he's just a guide for them. And he realized that one student helped the other when they wanted to speak. Sometimes they are so silent. And it's really nice. It's worth it to watch this TED Talk. He says sometimes they are so shy to speak, and when they realize that they wanted to enter in the conversation, to ask questions, and one is helping the other, so when they realize the students are becoming fluent in the language, because this is the point. Sometimes we give them so many material to work in writing and reading and understanding, but we don't give them opportunity to speak. And when in real life we need to speak more than write and read, you have to have all these, but speaking, for me, I think is the most challenging thing for the students. The ones that appear to me have this, they are blocked, they are they are shy, they are nervous, for them it's very difficult to speak. And I think this is a way, okay, you disguise the way of teaching. Yeah, pretend that you're not teaching, but you are giving them space to use the language. I think I understand this way.
Awesome. Yes. And I think, that this blocking students create because they are afraid of speak. I always try to find new ways to unblock them. But I have to confess that I should try literature more. Yeah, because we are so attached to fast techniques, strategies, and role plays and things like that. That literature brings something new, something broader, to wider. Yes, according to vocab, according to idioms, whatever. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, regarding sorry, Ellie, just a quick comment regarding the story that Luciane shared with us tonight. I was just imagining, as a teacher, what sort of contents, the subjects I could work with just by using that story. And then she was reading push and pull and push and pull. What a lovely way of working with false cognates, for example. We don't need to give the students a list and then make them know all these words by heart. It's completely, it's suffering for them. So if you start by a poem, a story, and with that playful way of using the words, that's fun. It's not suffering anymore. And then they will learn in a much easier way, because the things we carry in our memories, they are generally connected to how we feel them. So our feelings are there involved, and literature is directly involved by feelings, by sensations, by emotions, good and bad. So that's a good way. And I think there was as well taxi and cab. So lots of different differences between British and North American English as well. The students are generally interested by that. How can I say what is right and what's wrong? And sometimes we make them understand that there is no right and wrong. That depends on where you are, or who you are talking to. So that's quite interesting. We don't have any questions there in the chat. I'm a bit annoyed, because I think we have lots of people here with experiences to share, maybe more than the ones we have. And I was just challenging a little bit more the ones who are watching to think about a book. Maybe not an experience, a teaching or learning experience, but a book or an author who made a difference in their lives. And then we could maybe share these reading experiences, because being readers is important as well as teachers, giving our experiences. Sorry, it's with you.
No problem. I thought about people inserting their comments on YouTube chat about the first book they read in English. Yes, or the first short story, or the first, the first discovery in English, completely in English. I remember I had read many, kids' books when I was studying English as a second language. And then when I was like doing prep courses for international examinations, I read The Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare. And it was like, wow, my God, it was like so many different words. And it was, how can I say that? It was not the real version. It was an adaptation of the real one. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then I remember I was some years later, I had to prepare a class, a project, in fact, and I used the text of The Taming of the Shrew. I used the movie 10 Things I Hate About You that teenagers love. I used some scenes of the Brazilian TV show O Cravo e a Rosa. And then I mixed everything together, and they were like, oh my God, literature is so big, it's everywhere, Shakespeare is everywhere. So it was an amazing experience. And it was based on one of my first experiences. So who else can share an experience like that? Let's wait a bit. I know there is a delay.
Children's books are very interesting, even if we're teaching English to adults as well. I was thinking of the experience of I share with my daughter, who is now in this literacy stage of her life. And I don't know how many times we've already read with her and to her the book I Squash and I Squeeze. It's a book by Julia Donaldson. And it's fun. It's a story. It's full of rhymes. It's a rhyming story. So you can get the rhythm of the words as well. And if you don't know exactly one word, there's lots of rhymes in it. You kind of guess how to pronounce the words properly. And she absolutely loves it. So why not bringing that these children's stories with our older students as well? Because the vocabulary is sometimes easier, and they can have fun as well. Yeah. So
Yeah, I like Dr.
poetry
Seuss.
is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Seuss brings many of books like these, and I have already used them with my older students reading. What is the name of? There is one that is fantastic. It's about all these rhymes. I think it's the Green Eggs and Ham. Yeah, that one is pretty cool. So as you said, we they can learn by heart the pronunciation of a word. They don't need to, I don't know, memorize or something. They just simply absorb the vocabulary. It's amazing.
It's like when we
Well,
use music in the classroom too. Songs are really nice to embrace the pronunciation, the rhythm, yeah, the intonation. It's really nice. And when you mention children's stories, everybody has a children's side. Everybody was a child one day. So it's really nice to reconnect to this child, because this child was very creative, and sometimes we miss this, and literature brings us together again, near to this child that was there, that was very creative, and I don't know, I think every material is important. I think we lost the colleague.
Yeah. Ellie's disappeared. I think she had a connection problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's nearly 9. I think we could move towards the end. I don't know, Luciane, if you would like to give us your final words, and in the name of Partners of the Americas and the Federal Institute as well, I'd like to thank you for accepting this invitation. It was very interesting. It was inspiring for us to think about these connections between literature and language. And as a teacher, as a researcher, maybe what tip or what suggestion you would like to give for maybe new teachers or perhaps students who want to improve their language, their vocabulary, within this idea of bringing something from literature and culture to their English?
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, Simara, for the invitation. I think I forgot to do this when in the beginning I was nervous. For me, it's a very nice opportunity to be here to talk about my work as a teacher. And I think most of all was to think about, because we don't consider, yeah, we just do, we don't think. And I think for the ones that are starting teaching, or the ones that are there for a long time, the most important thing is to know their students. Yeah, before choosing something to bring to class, I think it's really, really important to know your student, to be close to them. I know that in the beginning it's really difficult. I used to ask them to write in the first class, when I meet someone, I was to ask them to write about the things that they like to do when they don't have anything, mandatory or something like this, a hobby, what kind of things they like to listen, to read, to watch. Because when you know the student, you can select better, and there's no way to make a mistake, because it's easy to find the material, because when you put the eye, oh, this text, I think my student would love this because he likes this and that, and it's most of the times it is like this. When you choose the material, that when you know the student, it's gonna. But in groups, you depend. Ellen told me that she teaches big groups, né? Simara too, but sometimes you teach them for more than 1 year, so you know the students, so you can bring something that one group like and the other no. You can select different texts and to make comparisons in class too. Poetry can help, and music is a kind of poetry. Yeah, as Ellen mentioned, I think it's wonderful when you bring these, for example, Shakespeare stories. Everything that you read nowadays has a root in Shakespeare. Yeah, sometimes I'm teaching things that, oh, Shakespeare said this, but Shakespeare was a big he in that time plagiarism wasn't an issue, so yeah, so for him was easy to go to another culture and pick up a story and create in his own words. And like this, you can ask students to create their own stories based on what they have read, yeah, like Shakespeare did. I don't know.
Great. No, it's
There
a
are
great
many
idea.
options.
Guys, sorry, I had a connection problem here. I don't know what happened, but suddenly my Wi-Fi just went off, and now I'm connected through my cell phone. So I don't know how long I'll be able to be here. Anyway, it's high time. Yes, I don't know what Simara has said before, but I have to talk to tell you something about the next episode, the next broadcasting. 1 second, I need to take my text. Okay, so in June, our section will be on the 23rd at 8 p.m. Let me see which day of the week is that. I didn't check before. It's on a Thursday. Okay. And who is going to be here with us is Marcio Fontana. Marcio Fontana is a partner from Erechim. He's been to the program Teacher in Residence some years ago, and he's going to talk about how to work with PBL, that is project based learning, using iEarn platform. So I know Marcio works for the University of Erechim in the Language Center, and he also teaches in public schools, and he has a very interesting work, international work with this platform iEarn. So he's going to teach us about how to use this platform, and also he's going to give his testimonial about the program Teachers in Residence. Yes, that it's a program by Partners of the Americas, and it's one of our goals doing this teaching training, because we want to promote development for the teachers um, who joined this group, and we want to send to the United States, to Indiana or any other state that is willing to receive teachers in order to to share experiences. We want to receive teachers in Brazil as well. So our goal is to start sending and receiving teachers in 2023. Yeah, and we want to have like a great group of teachers, really connected, so that we can receive people and give them the best experience in Brazil, and also send our teachers there and let them learn a lot with our partners from the US. Let me say another thing about this teacher training program. There will be 10 meetings, right? It's 10, Samara, right? Yeah, I think.
No, I think it's 9 maximum by the end
9.
of the
Yeah.
year.
Anyway, and to the ones that attend all of them, we are going to provide a certificate issued by IFRS and Partners of the Americas, of course. So it is very important that everybody sign the document, that the online registration, and also these sections are recorded. So if you couldn't, if someone you know couldn't watch the live section, so you can watch the recording, and then in the end of the program you'll be able to get a certificate as well. Okay, so thank you a lot, Luciani, for sharing this experience. It was very, very, very good. It remind me of so many things and gave me ideas to so many others. And it was really, really worthy. Simana, it's up to you.
I had already said some things, but I'd like to thank Luciani again. And let's hope we can meet again next month for a different topic on English teaching and beyond. Not only about teaching, but learning. So everybody's welcome. Okay?
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Luciani, you are invited to join our group. I'm going to send you a formal invitation, and everybody that got enrolled in this course will receive an invitation to be a volunteer at Partners of Americas as well. Okay? So, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That's it for tonight.
See you next month.